You've been told there's a 6-week run on a demolition site in a town you've never seen before. You've put the fuel in the tank of your car on your own dime. You've turned down other jobs and you've travelled halfway up the country. And when you roll up to the gate, the site manager looks at you like you've just landed from outer space. No start today, mate. Agency's overbooked you, or the job's changed. We need an extra pair of hands, but it's for a strip out and the rate's £4 less than we agreed. It's a scenario that plays out daily across the UK. It's a disgrace. It's an insult. And frankly, it's a symptom of an industry that has become bloated, lazy, and fundamentally broken. For years, we've heard the same tired corporate platitudes. Managing directors stand at the podium of industry award ceremonies, glass of bubbly in hand, claiming that their workers are their greatest asset and the lifeblood of the industry. If that were true, you wouldn't be treated like dirt. You wouldn't be expected to gamble your weekly wages on the off chance that a recruitment consultant in a shiny suit actually picked up the phone to verify a booking. The current state of recruitment and HR in demolition and construction isn't just an inconvenience, it's a scathing indictment of a sector that has lost its grip on reality. The rise of the recruitment agency has provided a convenient layer of insulation for contractors. By outsourcing the headache of staffing, they've also outsourced the moral responsibility. If a worker arrives at a site and finds the job doesn't exist, the site manager blames the agency. The agency blames a clerical error or the client. Around and around it goes, while the worker sits in the cab of their car, calculating how much they've just lost in fuel and missed opportunities. The lack of due diligence is staggering. In any other professional sector, sending a specialist worker to a non-existent job would be grounds for a massive breach of contract. In construction, it's just another Tuesday. Why? Because the safety net has gone. With unions now largely relegated to the history books within the demolition and construction sector, the individual worker stands alone. There's no collective voice to say enough. When you have no representation, you have no recourse. You're simply a line item on a spreadsheet that can be deleted at a moment's notice. But let's look past the blatant mistreatment for a moment and examine the sheer, staggering incompetence behind it. This is the part that really makes the trade magazines. We're told the industry is modernising with BIM models, digital twins, and advanced project management software. Yet the basic logistics of who's coming to work today seems to be a mystery to those in charge. Surely a site worth £50 million knows how many operatives it needs. Surely they know how many inductions are scheduled. This isn't rocket science, it's basic diary management. The fact that workers are routinely sent to sites that are already full or not yet ready for them reveals a deeper malaise. It reveals a total lack of foresight. And this isn't just about the people either. Look around any major site in the UK and you'll see the same story. Excavators, dumpers, crushers, just sitting idle. Those machines aren't parked, they're hemorrhaging money. Some sit for days, weeks, or even months because nobody can be asked to off-hire them, or because the sequence of works has been so poorly planned that the machine arrived 3 weeks before anyone was ready for it. We're told constantly that margins in construction are razor thin. We're told that companies are struggling to stay afloat, and yet the industry seems perfectly happy to waste millions of pounds every year through sheer disorganisation. When a worker spends 8 hours travelling for a job that doesn't exist, that's a wasted man day that the nation can't afford. When a £200,000 piece of kit sits in the rain doing nothing, that's capital and profit being set on fire. The just-in-time philosophy that's been adopted by modern industry requires one thing to work: precision. Instead, what we have in UK construction is maybe, at some point, logistics. The cost is borne by the men and women at the bottom of the food chain. You pay for the fuel, you pay for the childcare you didn't need, you pay for the stress of not knowing if your mortgage is covered this month because a recruiter couldn't be bothered to send an email or a text message. The industry likes to talk about professionalism. It wants to be seen as a high tech, forward thinking, dynamic career path to attract the next generation. But you can't build a professional industry on a foundation of chaos and disrespect. Sending an operator across 3 counties for a phantom job is a betrayal of the very people who keep these firms in business. It signifies an industry that has grown so detached from its workforce that it no longer views them as human beings with bills to pay and families to feed. We see the headlines about the skill shortage. They wonder why young people aren't flocking to the trades. Well, perhaps it's because word has got out. Perhaps it's because people have realised that in the modern UK construction landscape, your expertise and your time are valued less than the dirt you're moving. This malaise is deep and the rot is high up. It isn't just about a few dodgy agencies or a couple of lazy site clerks. It's about a culture that prizes the appearance of progress over the reality of production. It's about a system that treats workers as a tap that can be turned on and off without a second thought about the water that's being wasted. If the industry truly wants to solve its productivity crisis, it needs to stop looking at 3D models and start looking at the site gate. It needs to demand accountability from the agencies it employs. It needs to implement rigorous due diligence to ensure that every worker sent to a site has a job, a rate, and a purpose. And for the workers, it's time to recognise that the lifeblood of the industry is currently being bled dry by a lack of organisation and a total absence of respect. The nation is losing millions. Companies are losing their reputation. But it's the men and women on the road who are paying the ultimate price for this industry-wide incompetence. It's time to stop accepting the parlous state of recruitment as a fact of life. This is a choice that's been made by those at the top. And until they are held to account for the wasted hours and broken promises, the UK construction industry will continue to be a giant with feet of clay. And men and women will continue to trek up and down the nation's motorways for jobs that may or may not exist.